Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of World Talks here on TVP World. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and please join me and my guests on this next interview. Now, India is facing a dramatic hike in U.S. tariffs, set to double to 50% on August 27th, marking a sharp downturn in ties between Washington and New Delhi. At the same time, India is holding talks with China, signaling a major recalibration in its foreign policy. How did it come to this, and what's really at stake? Joining us on TVP World is Patryk Kugiel, a senior analyst at the Polish Institute of International Affairs and a lecturer at the University of Warsaw, widely recognized for his expertise on South Asian affairs. Hello, sir, and welcome to TVP World.
Thank you for having me.
So this sudden spike in U.S. tariffs to India, what do you think is the real reason of it? How much of it is actually their dealings with Russia, and how much of it is just kind of geopolitical friction between America and India?
Donald Trump is a pragmatic businessman, so this is basically all about trade and economy. Russia is only an excuse, an additional leverage that Donald Trump is trying to use against India to get its own way when it comes to tariffs. Right. Because, Donald Trump used to call India, even during his first term as president, he called India tariffs king. And he got really annoyed that, since for last 8 years, trade deficit of the United States only increased by $15 billion, not decreased. So I think this shows that his patience is nearing thin, and he is using all the tools and instruments to exert pressure on India to open up its market to U.S. goods. Right, so this kind of Russian rhetoric perhaps is also just some convenient killing two birds with one stone move that Donald Trump is trying to take. But in the meantime, India also says that it won't compromise its strategic autonomy. Do you think that this is a turning point when it comes to India-U.S. relations? This is the most difficult moment in U.S.-India relations in the last 25 years. I think Donald Trump is making a strategic mistake. He's destroying all the efforts and accomplishments of his predecessors, including his own previous term in office. United States has invested enormously in its relationship with India in terms of economy, defense, energy cooperation, but most of all in terms of trust. And now Donald Trump is destroying this trust, mutual understanding, and it will be very hard to rebuild. So this is very much shocking to my Indian colleagues, what's going on. They have never expected something like this in relations with Donald Trump. We must remember that during the first presidency of Donald Trump, India was one of a few countries that were very much happy with Donald Trump presidency. It was probably next to Poland and Israel, most pro-US, pro-Trump countries in the world. And they were expecting something similar this time. And on the contrary, they got a reversal of US policy on a number of accounts, not only when it comes to bilateral relations with India, but also when you look at relations or policy, US policy towards Pakistan, towards China, all is absolutely upside down, and Indian colleagues are very much worried about it. And it only gives them extra motivation to re-engage stronger with Russia, with China. And I think now Prime Minister Modi might be happy, and he might be telling this to his colleague that, you see, it was very clever. It was a very good move that we did not condemn Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, because you see, we cannot trust the United States. And now we can go back to Putin. Right, so when it comes to this decision, I think, like you mentioned, a lot of Indians are also perplexed as well, where in the first term, President Trump is very friendly towards India. However, the rhetoric of India being tariff king is not a new one. What kind of led the Trump administration into coming to the current decision? I think this annoyance with Indian tariffs is one primary reason. But if you want to hear any other guess, I think it's also about personal issues. Donald Trump everyone knows this. He wants very much to get Nobel Peace Prize, and India is not giving him a credit for ending the war between India and Pakistan in May this year. Pakistanis were very smart. They went to the Oval House, to the Oval Office, to the White House, and applauded U.S. role in ending this conflict with India. India, on contrary, they rejected numerous times this claim of Donald Trump that he was responsible for ending the hostilities between India and Pakistan. So India is standing on his way to this Nobel Peace Prize. So that would be another reason. And thirdly, I think he actually might be using India card as a pressure point on Russia when it comes to the war in Ukraine.
Right, so there's many aspects there, and perhaps there is also a point where India is being used by the U.S. administration as a leveraging tool. But do you think that this could backfire in a way that, perhaps like you mentioned, driving India even closer to Russia, or we're already seeing like a realignment with China, where America already sees as one of its biggest opponents?
I would say that realignment with China is maybe too much to say this. India is trying to normalize its relationship with China, relations that were very difficult for the last 5 years. In 2020, in June, India and China clashed at the border in the Himalayas. 20 Indian soldiers died, and it has destroyed the India-China relations. But already last year, India started this normalization path when it comes to China. India simply realized that it cannot grow economically and it cannot be safe geopolitically when it has a very tense and difficult relationship with China. So at this moment, I think India has always appreciated this strategic autonomy, as you mentioned. So this is another reason, another argument to strengthen this principle of strategic autonomy. India will be trying to manage relationship with US. It will get close to Russia, and it will try to rebuild relationship with China in order to maintain room for maneuver in foreign policy for India. So I wouldn't say that India is now drifting apart or away from the West towards BRICS countries. But what we can say for sure, this growing this drift of India towards the West has been stopped by the US administration, because for the last 20 years, European Union and United States were trying a lot, were putting a lot of effort in order to pull India to our side. And with recent behavior and decisions of Donald Trump, India will go back to its BRICS partners, but it will again at the same time try to maintain good pragmatic relationship with Europe and with the US.
So perhaps worrying about the realignment with the Russia and China is a little bit overblown. However, we do see a step back when it comes to the relationship with the West. Now, I would also like to explore the ripple effect that can come out of it, coming from a Europe's perspective. Do you think that this kind of frozen relation now with the West and the continuous dealing with Moscow is going to have an impact here as well?
I think for Europe it creates an opportunity, because Europe needs to be seen as an independent actor. And we can use this period of tense relationship between US and India in order to engage India even more. So when the US-India relationship are having difficult times, then Europe must step in and engage India very, very much. And this is actually what's taking place. At the beginning of this year, we have seen a visit of the whole European Commission to Delhi in February. India and European Union are finalizing free trade negotiations. They are planning to have a summit early next year. We will see a new strategy, 5-year strategy for strategic partnership between European Union and India. So this is very good moment for Europe-India relations. India needs the West for its own development, for its own prosperity, for its own security, because we need to remember that China will remain a strategic rival for India. Russia will remain a strategic partner for India, but Europe can be a more trusted partner when it comes to multilateralism, rules-based international order, etc. The only problem in our relations with India these days might be India's behavior and policy towards the war in Ukraine, which we do not find very much helpful.
Right, so realistically, how can this realignment, well, maybe not realignment, but strategic partnership between Europe and India take place when we do know that India has already been rerouting Russian energy essentially to help it skirt sanctions? A lot of talks about sanctioning or tariffing India is on the part of Trump's administration's secondary tariff. Do you think that that would come into conflict with the European stance when it comes to them trying to sanction Russia?
Europe can do a lot when it comes to Russian export of Russian energy, and it's taking these steps. For example, Europe has been buying Russian oil, crude oil, refined in Indian refinery, but it was our own choice. Yeah? We can stop buying Russian oil refined in India. And this was already the decision taken as part of the 18th package of sanctions against Russia. From the early next year, Europe will not buy Russian oil processed in India. So in this regard, we are helping to implement the sanctions against Russia. And we need to remember at the same time, India has not been violating any international regulations or norms. What they have been doing, it was perfectly fine according to all the rules and regulations. India is buying Russian oil because it's cheaper and because it has a huge population and huge economy that needs cheap energy resources. If we want India to stop buying Russian oil, which India is now the second largest importer of 40% of Russian oil.
So with the Europeans stepping in, essentially, it'll be the Europeans' turn to be calling the shots. Thank you so much for your input and insight. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. And thank you for tuning into this edition of World Talks. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.